Hello, everybody. Welcome to the State of Craft episode. Where are we on now? 22. Woo!
22.
Rhyming tutu. Tutu. Ooh, ooh. I'll introduce Serena here in a moment. I want to do a land acknowledgement and a few housekeeping items first. I live in Nelson, BC. I get to live, work, and play on the ancestral territories of the Sinixt people, and through intermarriage, the Tanaha people as well. Just want to kind of take a moment and reflect on what that means. Like, and I don't know about where you guys are, but here there used to be a really vibrant culture and people. There used to be thousands of Sinaiaks that lived in this area, and they were mostly killed by settlers here through scalping programs and through the residential school system. And right now there's just a handful of people, 5, 6 or so, that are still in this area, and it's pretty fucked up if you ask me, and there's a lot of shit that's been really fucked up in the genocide enacted on indigenous folks here. So I'd ask each of you to kind of reflect on who actually used to live in your area, or maybe still does, and how have they been treated, what's their realities like, because I think that's the first step of reconciliation, just really understanding what actually happened, so that we can get to a better place as a society here in Canada. So with that acknowledgement done, I'll do a few housekeeping items about the State of Craft and this episode here today, and then I'll introduce Serena. So the State of Craft, what is it? It's a podcast series where we have different guests that we respect around the legal craft cannabis industry, and we talk about what's going well, what's not going well, and what needs to change and how we change it in this industry to make it so that we have a legal craft cannabis industry where people can actually thrive. Because as I'm sure all of you here know today, it really sucks. the way legalization is rolled out fucking sucks. And it does seem like it's starting to get better. The BC government where I live seems to really be listening for the most part. Health Canada's having their 3-year review. They seem to not really want to listen, but hopefully we can all change that through advocacy work. But this is a platform to have our guests tell us what they think about the realities of our industry. It's hosted by the company that I'm a CEO for and a co-founder for, CertiCraft. We are on a mission to help craft cannabis producers transition into and thrive within the regulated market here in Canada. And our flagship product is a compliance platform that makes the ridiculously tedious compliance requirements really simple for small scale producers. The last housekeeping items to share, we have a chat function. I see some of you guys are already saying things. Oh, actually, it's just Nick, my co-founder, who's saying things there. To everybody else, feel free to say hi in the chat. We love having interaction throughout this experience here. Oh, yeah, I see a whole bunch of people typing. That's right. Hi, Earl. Hi, Tim. Hi, Radonna. That's great. Hi, Nathan. And then if you have any questions for Serena, we have a dedicated questions tab where you can go ask questions. If you like a question, go and upvote it. And at the end, we'll go through the questions in order of upvotes. All right. Hi, James. Hi, Julia. Hi, Kelly. And of course, also, hi, Serena. Oop, wait, where are we? There we go. Hi, Serena.
Hi.
Welcome.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for being here. We at our team, we all love you. We think you're a great human being, and you have my single favorite brand name in all of cannabis in Canada because you can. It's so great.
Do everything if we really put our minds to it, right? Yeah, we'll see.
Cool. So, Serena, do you maybe want to share a bit or two about yourself before we really get into the discussion here?
Sure. I am Serena Donovan. I am the CEO and owner of Because You Can, which is a cannabis company in southern Alberta. I am a wife, a mother, a sister, a grandmother, and a great-granddaughter. I started this business because I kind of fell in love with the cannabis plant as a medical patient. I didn't touch this plant until I was early in my 40s, late in my 30s, and suffering from a lot of migraines and was not finding any kind of conventional help with conventional medicine. And so went out on a limb and said, okay, I got to try something else. And so started on CBD oil, and it was a game changer for me. My husband and I farm in southern Alberta, and I wanted to look at how we could possibly diversify the farm. And so he was gracious enough to give me access to a building on the farm that's 60 by 120. And I started retrofitting it in April of 2019 and was licensed in February 2020. And so here we are, 2 years later officially, and still growing, have gone through many, many challenges. We've fallen on our faces many times and learned a lot, not having any knowledge of what this industry was really going to be like. It's been a lot of learning on our feet, but we're doing it and we're loving it. And we're very proud of the product that we're going to be launching in Alberta in the early April. And so, yeah, we're excited about all the good things that are going on.
Great. And you're doing it because you can. I hope you guys don't get tired of this, but I'm probably gonna drop because you can in there like, I don't know, 8 or 9 times throughout this conversation.
Excellent. Oh, you go for it.
Cool. Well, Serena, thanks so much for being here. You were one of the first micros to be licensed in Alberta, weren't you?
Yes, I was the second actually. Yeah.
Second.
And
Cool.
25th in Canada.
Cool.
So,
So you've
early.
Cool. So I guess, in your experience, you've been doing this for a couple of years now as a license holder, and have been definitely thinking about it for a lot longer than that. What do you see as being really positive in the legal industry of cannabis?
I think the access to the multitude of products that we have available to us, both on the recreational and the medical side, is game changer. Being able to have the options of going into a recreational store and finding things like topicals and lip balm and dried flower and vapes and accessories, I think is huge. Being able to talk to somebody. I'm one where, for me anyways, as a consumer that is like-minded like myself, I tend to be afraid of most things. And so if I can talk to somebody about what to expect, it eases my anxiety about trying something new. And I think that's a huge value to people who may be on the fence about trying cannabis for the first time. And then being able to experience it, right? I mean, I've had some good experiences and I've had some really bad experiences, and I've been blessed to have my adult children with me when I had my first really bad experience. And I will tell you that if I had not had somebody that I felt kind of quote unquote safe with, I never ever would have touched this again, because I'm that personality. And so it's being able to learn, I think, as we go. I like the fact that the industry is focusing a little bit more now on terpenes, because I think that's huge. Whether you are rec or medical based, I think that we really need to start paying attention to what the terps are bringing to our cannabis. And it's not just a THC chase, right? There is some really good products that are really high THC, not gonna lie, but there is some really good products that are not super high THC. There needs to be a little bit more
nuanced and balanced.
Yeah. Like, I think I hope that we're going to start seeing that change in the legal side. I mean, I remember when we first got licensed, the retail stores were happy to get 18%, right? That's what we were chasing. Then it was 25, and now it's 30 and over. And as a producer, it is a challenge. I mean, we're happy to be producing 30% product right now. We hit a 32 last week and we're overjoyed. It's whether or not it's sustainable and whether or not it is really what we want the brand to represent. I would really like to have a balance under the brand, and I'd love to see a high CBD as well, so that people can come to us for all of those experiences.
Yeah, because if like the stores and the provincial distribution boards are really just like having this like, what used to be 20% or more THC, 25% or more, sounds like it's gone even higher now. Then like what are we like offering customers and consumers? It's like, is just get blasted. That's kind of the only option. Come here and get blasted. Maybe there's like 2 or 3 options that have like a CBD oriented thing with low THC, but everything else is really about getting you blasted. And is that like really what we want to have? Like, I think it's great to have that option to get like really, really stoned out of your mind, but I don't know. It's like there's no beer equivalent or wine equivalent right now inside a cannabis store.
Well, that's just it. And for me, having that super high THC is great, right? It's a great option, but it would be like promoting drinking a whole bottle of vodka. And
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like we need to be able to kind of balance things out a little bit and be able to focus on other things other than, yeah, okay, there's no reason why you can't get super blasted every now and again. But I don't think it's a sustainable way to use cannabis long term. And I hope that the consumer starts to dictate a little bit more to the distributor and the provincial boards, but I don't know, right? I mean, the provincial boards seem to have the loudest voice right now, and it is a shame, and I think it's going to take a lot of education, but I don't know how, as cultivators, we get those policymakers around the table to say, these are really, really good products, and they need to not just be pushed to the medical side. Let's give some of these options some recognition on the recreational side. But the consumer is always right. And if that is what's selling, then that's what the provincial boards are going to stick with.
Hey, Nathan, I know you're in the chat here. Nathan is somebody who works at a local recreational store here in Nelson, Buddy's Place. Or actually, no, not the Nelson shop, but somewhere else in the Kootenays. Can you maybe speak in the chat a bit to consumers? Like, are they interested in things that aren't just super high THC? I'd be curious if you could like drop in your perspective while we're having the rest of this chat here. In the meantime, Serena, do you know, is the AGLC working on some kind of equivalent, like BC's trying to create this direct delivery program to allow producers to sell directly to retailers and not have to go through a middleman? Is there any kind of equivalent in the works in Alberta? Do you know?
No, not at this point. We all kind of got dropped an email late last year. It used to be a $200 application fee to apply for an AGLC license.
And what does an AGLC license let you do?
So an AGLC license will allow me to work with a processor and sales amendment to get my product in the AGLC warehouse and on the purchase orders. But it will also allow me then to go into local stores or to talk to local stores about my product. And so it was a $200 application fee in 2021, and now is $3,000.
And is that for one product, or is that just generally for everything?
It's just it will license the site. So because you can has an AGLC license, it's called a cannabis representative.
Okay.
And so because you can is registered. And when we go to renew that in April 23, it is now a $3,000 due diligence package on top of the licensing fees.
Due diligence package.
Yeah. My husband and I are in the process actually of doing the retail application because we are going to open Because You Can cannabis in our small community. And it's a $3,000 due diligence, and they will not accept any of our Health Canada security clearances, which we pay $1,800 each for. And, they're good for so long. It took me 9 months to get mine. And so, at this point, I think the Alberta government is going to sit and wait and see how BC rolls theirs out. And I think there's option for it down the road, I hope. But when I phoned AGLC and said, okay, I'm going to open a Because You Can cannabis co or cannabis store, can I have a certain amount of my own product set aside so that I can bring it into my store and sell my product? And they said, unfortunately, no, we believe in equal opportunity. And so if I release 100 cases of Blue Glue Kush, which is going to be released first week of April, and there's, say, 800 stores, and I know I'm low on the number in Alberta, I'm never guaranteed to be able to sell my own product in my own store, which is a shame. Yeah. The upside is if it's all gone, it means it's selling, right? The cultivation side says sell product. It doesn't really matter where it goes.
Yeah.
It's very hard to get brand dedication when you can never guarantee or push your consumers to one particular or 10 particular or 20 particular stores on a continual basis to find the Because You Can products. Yeah. And so I don't know how it's going to work yet. I mean, it's kind of crazy. I have to wrap my head around the fact that I have to ship my finished product to the AGLC warehouse in Edmonton. They pay me for it at wholesale. Then as the store owner, I buy it from AGLC to then turn around to try to sell it in my retail store.
at a
it's
huge markup.
yeah. So, I mean, I hope that it's all going to come together and it's all going to make sense. But this was my way of trying to also ensure the sell-through of the product, because AGLC also has a rule right now where if product sits in their warehouse for 4 months, then because you can, as the cultivator, has to buy it all back. And that's something that, because you can, as the cultivator, certainly can't afford to do. And
Mhm.
so it will allow me, I'm hoping, to be able to ensure that sell through, because if nothing else, I'll be able to stock up on my own product and push on social media, come and get the product before it's gone, those kinds of things. And so
Yeah.
I don't know. I was hoping that they were going to start loosening things, but I just don't know if AGLC is quite ready to look at farm gate quite yet.
Yeah. Yeah. What else do you feel is going pretty well in the cannabis industry?
What else do I think is going well?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, right now, I
Yeah.
think we've got lots of opportunity for collaborations. We've got lots of opportunities for businesses to start working together. As micro cultivators, we really need strong standard licensed producers, so standard LPs, processors with sales amendments, to really kind of take a look at the benefits of bringing a group of micro cultivators kind of under their wings, so to speak. I say this quite often to people I talk to, is somebody needs to decide that they want to be the mother hen and bring all the micros under their wings. Because as cultivators and microprocessors, of course, we are allowed to put it in finished packages. We are allowed to excise, but we can't move the product out of our facilities. And so, I mean, I will say that I strongly feel that there's a lot of very great, good quality products coming out of micro cultivation facilities that standard LPs could be getting really good SKUs for, and be ensuring that this industry can stay sustainable for the micros as well. Because it tends to be a fight. I mean, everybody says it's a fight to the bottom or a race to the bottom, and I hate looking at it like that. But we really do have huge opportunity right now for good, strong, collaborative relationships to be built, and I hope that's what we start seeing in the near future, because we're 2 years in for licensing from myself, and we're starting to get those really, really good relationships being built, and so now we're starting to see that sell through. But it's tough. It's tough sitting on product, and I know there's a lot of micro cultivators out there that are sitting on a lot of really high quality product, and unfortunately, this product ages and it doesn't get better. It's not like fine wine, right? We haven't found a way to kind of freeze dry or fast freeze the aging process on it, and yeah. So those are the things that I really hope start happening.
So in the Kootenays, the last episode that we had Shannon, who's the CEO of Antidote, which is a new standard processor waiting to get their license right now. But specifically, their whole mission is, let's support the local micros in this area, get to market, and actually care about them. It's farmer owned and operated, so they have their own best interests in mind. I know in Alberta, there was this, whatever it's called, Rocky Mountain Co-op. What was it called? There's a co-op that was being developed for a while that didn't end up going anywhere. Is there anything else in your region that you feel like kind of fits that standard processor that really has a big part of their business model being supporting micro cultivators going to market?
Well, right now I'm working with Veritas Natural Health Products, and they've been fabulous. That the CEO, Mark, and his team have been really, really good. They've helped me get these SKUs with AGLC, and I hope that, when we can prove this model out, right? Being able to open the store will hopefully ensure that we'll get sell through and those SKUs will stay in AGLC. He also, of course, has licenses with other provinces, and so that gives us the opportunity to be able to get that broad reach. I'm also working with JMF growers in Quebec, and they've got a medical platform and they've got access to recreational platforms as well. And I think as a micro cultivator, you have to be willing to work with multiple partners, and they have to be okay with that, right? I mean, we've got product. If we focus on just a medical platform, typically the batches that they're taking are 5 to 6 kilos, which on a micro scale is great, because I love to grow small scale. But if I'm growing 5 to 6 kilo batches, I'm probably growing 40 of them a year. Well, if a medical platform can only sell through a 6 kilo in a few months, I have to be able to find additional distribution for that product, because I certainly can't afford to sit on it. It doesn't do me any good sitting in my vault. And so it's finding those LPs that have what they need to have in place so that they can help those of us that don't be able to get in the market. And I don't think there's any benefit in all of us trying to do everything. I truly feel like I really want to concentrate on what I'm good at, which is growing. And it's taken a long time to get good at that, because I can't keep a house plant alive, and I've never grown this plant in my life. And it is one of the hardest plants to grow. Don't let anybody tell you it's a weed, it's easy, because it's not. But I don't need to then have big fancy equipment on my site to make pre-rolls and all of the jar filling, all, like, I don't need to have all of that if I've got good, strong partners that are going to help me get my product to market, and I can focus on growing, and they will focus on helping me get distribution, as well as I'm also, feet on the ground all the time, working relationships so that we can get this product moving.
Mm-hmm. So earlier on in the cannabis industry, there were a lot of like larger processors that I'll say they just took advantage of micros in different kinds of ways, and it was really hard to like actually find somebody who was honest and treated their suppliers, being microcultivators, well. Do you find that that's starting to shift, or that it's been long enough that all the bad actors are kind of known, don't work with that person, they're not like a great human to work with? Like, can you speak to that at all, and what your thoughts are on that?
Yeah, I think there is for sure a switch with that. I would agree completely that there were some top processors that were wanting to work with micros. And I think the premise prior to getting licensing is fabulous. It's fabulous to say, yes, we're going to work, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. A, B, C is going to equal D. However, then the challenge comes in with supply and with processing timelines and being able to distribute and all of those things. And I get that they also have to deal with their own product as well, right? But there has been a switch, because I've been contacted by multiple, and I would say that they're very reputable companies that want to work with micros, and they want to see how they can put money in our pocket instead of us selling to them at wholesale and taking a huge cut on it, and then sending it to them and getting downgraded because their QA department will find 10 things wrong with it, but yet we didn't know that those 10 things were part of what we needed to make sure it looked like or didn't look like when it got to the facility. So I mean, it's so many levels, right? And now, yes, now I will say, like, I'm very, very hopeful and very excited to see what this next year in 2022 does bring. I hope that we can all, as a group of micros, really start raising our voices and saying, look, us over here, we're growing damn good weed, and we need your help to get it to market. I don't know if the consumer knows the challenges, right? And I don't know how to make it known to them that, we are growing really good in really good facilities. We're growing damn good weed, but how do we get the narrative for the consumer in the store to say, do you have any micro product? I walked into one of the stores in Calgary last week and I said, do you have any micro cultivation product? They had no idea what I was talking about.
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you mean? Like, why as bud tenders, why are we not asking or as retail stores, why are we not asking our bud tenders to start saying, okay, let's start even focusing on Alberta producers in Alberta stores and BC producers in BC stores. Now, I'm not saying I want, the exclusion for good producers from BC to not be focused in Alberta stores. That's not what I'm saying at all. But when somebody walks in and says, hey, what do you got today that's good? Bud tenders should be able to say, we got 5 awesome producers in Alberta. Here's our top 5. Here's our top favorite from BC, Saskatchewan, Manitoba. And I think that's what I'd like to see that in the industry, but I don't know where to start on that. In my store, I'm going to focus on micro and craft product. And it may mean that I don't have a lot of SKUs. And I'm okay with that because I own the store. I get to dictate what I'm going to have. Right? Yeah. If I don't want the top 5, LP product in my store, well, then I guess we'll just not have product for a little bit until we can wait for damn good product. But yeah, it's changing the narrative, and I think it's coming, but it's going to be a bit yet.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a class of cannabis consumer that's more of a connoisseur that really cares and has for years, if not decades, really cared about the quality of their product. I have a feeling that the people who have yet to transition into purchasing legal recreational cannabis that still go through illicit sources, I'm betting that most of those are people who are more on like the caring about all kinds of things related to the plant, being really knowledgeable about the plant and the flower. Because there's something to be said about, once cannabis was legalized, a lot of people who previously maybe haven't used cannabis, they're like, okay, well, if the government's saying this is okay, I'm willing to try it now. And so there's a lot of new cannabis consumers in the recreational market who are far less educated than people who've been stoners for 2 decades. So yeah, I wonder how. I'm just kind of like sharing thoughts. There's no point I'm trying to make per se. I'm just kind of like thinking out loud here. It's just a curiosity of mine of like what that actual breakdown is of. Yeah,
and I think it maybe even starts with the provincial boards allowing the retail stores to have a little bit more poster or educational material available in the stores. I mean, by all means, I'm not saying that people who will be working in my store and myself when I do get out of here to be able to go to my retail store, I'm not going to be telling people what they should and should not be smoking or consuming, or I'm not going to pretend I'm a doctor in any form, but there needs to be a little bit more ability for conversation. There's some really great educational posters out there. Gold Leaf has amazing products. And I know one store, they had one up and AGLC made them take it down because it was taken as it was too much information and it was not information that AGLC wanted shared to consumers.
What kind of information are we talking about here? Like, is this like explaining what terpenes are, or things like that, or?
It was and the cannabinoid system and all of those things, right? I mean,
why would they not want that to be shared? Like, it's to like learn about what's actually happening in your body when you ingest this product.
Exactly, right? And why is it like if we're going to legalize this and we're going to take the veil off of it, let's start having honest conversations. There are people, like you say, I mean, I know my friend James, he knows his weed, but he takes it for very specific reasons. Yeah. And yes, as a medical patient, he looks for his medical products. As a medical patient, I look for my medical products, but I want to go into a retail store and talk to somebody that says, yeah, no, this is really high in these top 3 terpenes. And these are what these terpenes will help you feel when you do consume this product.
Question about that, because I don't know if it's a BC thing or a Canada thing, but I thought that bud tenders were prohibited from talking about how cannabis will make you feel on a legal level. Whether or not they actually do is a whole other question. But maybe can somebody in the chat, or maybe you, if you know Serena, are you familiar with what I'm talking about here at all, or is this?
Yeah, I've heard of people who have gotten in trouble by kind of the undercover AGLC inspectors, and they will be telling that consumer.
There's undercover AGLC inspectors that come to like catch bud tenders giving recommendations. What a waste of resources. Holy shit. Is that like what they want to spend their time and money on?
Well, I mean, and that's the thing. Yeah. And as a consumer, I mean, an indica product, indica couch and all of that. Sativas for most people knock them, like the head high knocks them right out. For me, it's the opposite. No, sativas will energize, right? Sativa knocks me right out. I get my best sleeps on sativas. And I don't know if it's just because I can actually shut my brain off for 5 minutes and actually crash or what, but that's the whole thing. I think that's what I love about this plant, is that each and every single one of us have a different experience. You and I could smoke exactly the same thing, Sami, and we will experience something differently because our endocannabinoid system is either mimicking or complementing or fighting this endocannabinoid system in this plant. And I find it absolutely, I love it. I love the fact that we are all so different and so are these plants. It makes it so that there's way more to talk about, but I don't know that we are legally allowed to be able to talk about those things in any realm. And that's the part that's sad, because your experience for something, you know, a certain strain, I may have exactly the same strain, but I may experience something differently. It doesn't mean that it's a bad strain or a good strain, but let's just talk about it.
Yeah, no, our brains are very complex. And when we're talking about literally hundreds of different cannabinoids and terpenes that interact together in different kinds of ways, there's a lot of complexity from that. It's not like alcohol where there's just one chemical, ethanol, that affects everybody the same way, because it's a very simple kind of process that takes place in our body. This is a much more complicated chemical interaction that takes place. And I guess one thing I want to touch on that like makes me sad about how like the recreational world is treated, where it's like just all about recreational, ignoring the medical side. Like it's involved to get a medical to get a prescription and actually make that happen with a particular store. You know, it's not hard, but it's steps you have to take. And it seems silly to me that we wouldn't want somebody to be able to get medical product that's not just meant to get you fucked up, but meant to like really be healing in all kinds of different ways, help you relax, help you de-stress. Like that's I don't use cannabis anymore because it makes me really anxious, at least not for recreational purposes. But before it started making me anxious, it was the best thing for de-stressing. Like if I'd had like a really hard week or a really hard day, and I just like would smoke a little bit of a joint and just like, oh, my muscles are relaxing, all the stress is seeping out of me. And like I don't think the stuff that's generally available at a recreational store today would really give me that effect, because it would just get me too wired. It would make me feel too high to even be able to like just have like this moderate relaxation. And it just seems sad that like Health Canada is really trying to segment. No, there's stuff to enjoy recreationally and there's stuff for medicine. It's like, no, it's all the same thing. It's like, and it's a spectrum. And there's some stuff that's really like, if you want to go party, you'd use that kind of stuff. And then if you wanted to just have a chill afternoon, you use this. If you want to go to bed, you use that. Like, it shouldn't be the segregation that's going on right now.
And that's the thing. I mean, you make a good point. This is a Health Canada regulated industry. Why are we not more focused on education and health than we are just chasing that highest THC and that highest, quickest stone? I hope that there's some change soon, but I don't know where to start. And I think it's probably just having conversations like this and opening up dialogue and being able to, you know, lobby things back and forth and saying, okay, well, I mean, I'm the one that you want to share a joint with, because I am a one puff and I am good. And I love that, where I can literally feel exactly what you said, Sami, where it just automatically, I can feel it drop, my stress drop all the way through my body. And I'm good. And I can ride that for a couple of hours. And then I love that part of it. I mean, I wasn't really a drinker. I started drinking when I was 35, had my first, you know, whatever. And well, for an evening on booze and you feel like shit the next day. You go out on an evening after you've had a couple of puffs or a drink or an edible, and you can get up and you're good to go to work the next day and you don't feel like shit. Those are the things that, you know, and when you're drinking, you're fighting. When you're smoking, you're not. You're loving.
Or eating.
That is the one downside. Gosh, I need to try to get something that shuts off that part of my brain. I busy all day. I'm not an eater during the day, and I consume all of my calories from the time I get home to the time I go to bed, and I regret it every single night. So it's one of those, yeah, those things I chase all the way around every day. But
Oh man, the
yeah,
first two times I got high, I think I ate like between 5 and 7,000 calories each time in one sitting. It was just ludicrous and insane, like the amount that I ate, and I like just couldn't feel how much I was eating. And the next days were not feeling very good, I'll tell you that.
I've seen things on Facebook. I follow this one cannabis forum, and they put an actual message in the fridge. You're not hungry. You're just stoned. Go sit down. And that's something that I need in my house. I finally said to my husband, "Go get me a whole bunch of carrots and peas, and I'll eat those instead of the chips and the cheesies and the chocolate." And it's like, no, my body is like, chocolate tastes so much better when you're high, Serena. Go get chocolate. I'm like, oh, it's terrible. But oh well.
Serena, what's something that you feel is really shitty about our industry today, and that you think is like maybe what's like the most important thing that you think really needs to be addressed to make a viable reality for microcultivators to be able to thrive here in Canada?
I think excise is a huge one. I would love to see excise removed off of medical, number one. This is the only industry we pay excise on medicine. If we have been prescribed this medicine from a doctor, why are we paying excise?
See here, Serena, this is the thing. It's not a prescription. It's a medical document. Aha. That's legitimately it. That's just like, that's the loophole. It's officially a medical document, not a prescription. And therefore, even though you've been prescribed it by a doctor. Super
and
bullshit,
that's a shame, right? I mean, because it is, it's just a shame all around. And then this whole every province is different, that needs to go. We need it just standardized across the platform, and then just set it and forget about it, right?
with you're talking with excise specifically, the fact that
Yes,
and that's with the like additional tax, or with the, because they have the duty and then they have additional duty, and the additional duty can be calculated differently.
Yeah. And unfortunately, Alberta is one of the highest, and it's crazy and it's sad because I think it's blocking some cultivators from coming to market because it cuts in on the margins, right? I mean, I've heard numbers on a 3.5, it could be 88 cents for excise all in BC, and it's $3.55 in Alberta.
No, that's it's $1 a gram minimum in most places. In BC, it's also that that high. That's not 88 cents. If it was, we would have a thriving market today. That's a lot more people to transition. But I think the 88 cents is probably the BC LDB markup fee, would be my guess. But yeah, because I wrote a letter for the Department of Finance that I distributed to a bunch of people in our industry a couple weeks ago, because the federal government was having a consultation for setting the budget, and changing excise duty takes an act of parliament, and when they set the budget, that's technically an act of parliament. So I'm hopeful that enough people kind of submitted something around excise to make that change. And so I was doing a lot of research on the duty program, and more or less every province except for Manitoba has like a minimum of $1 per gram as their thing. I was surprised to learn, because the way the excise duty is set up is that there's a required 25 cents, that's the normal duty, and then there's a 75 cents additional duty that can be calculated in different kinds of ways. And Manitoba does not charge that additional duty. So there they have a 25 cents excise program, but everywhere else is $1 minimum. And I'm guessing that Alberta is probably higher than $1, because you're saying it's one of the highest.
Yeah, it is. And it's unfortunate. I mean, and that's, I've decided that I don't want to put myself down in the weeds. It's too depressing, number one. And it's it's just a lot of work, to be honest with you. And I want to just concentrate on what we're good at right now, and that's cultivating. And it gives us room for expansion later on, and it gives us the ability, but we don't then have to focus on, trying to meet all of those things.
Yeah. Yeah, it's especially fucked up when you consider outdoor growers. Like today, like with the way the market has plummeted, like outdoor growers that enter this market expecting $2 to $3 a gram, who are now getting like 75 cents, 50 cents a gram. Like, how fucked is that? The government's getting twice as much money in some cases as the farmer that grew the cannabis. Like, that's fucked up. Like, that should
It's
never be a reality.
No, and it's extremely discouraging. I mean, we put our heart and souls, blood, sweat, and literal tears into this facility. My daughters and I, literal blood, sweat, and tears. And it's extremely discouraging. And there's so many other things that we fall on our faces for, to then see that, the government takes this and takes this and takes this, and it's the federal government, and then it's the provincial government, and then it's a municipality. In Alberta, here's a good mind blow for you. So in Alberta, the Alberta government got rid of the agriculture exemption. So when Ian and I mean, on the farm, we've got lots of
Wait, sorry to interrupt. Can you what is the agriculture exemption? Can you fill us in on that?
So in Alberta, in this municipality, we have outbuildings. So Quonsets, shops, all of those things. If it's used for agriculture, it is exempt from property tax. So all of our buildings are assessed. They're given a value come tax time, but the mill rate, so that property tax is, of course, assessed on a mill rate, is not added to an outbuilding or a farm structure. So the Alberta government took away the ag exemption for cannabis. And so this building, prior to licensing, was $0 for taxes to the municipality, to Vulcan County. As soon as I brought plants in here and was licensed, it's now $26,000 a year.
Because cannabis is not farming. It is not an agricultural product. It is not a plant that you grow in soil and then harvest fruits and flour from. That's not what cannabis is.
And it's sad, because if I switch to tomatoes or to lettuce or strawberries, it'd be back to zero. And yeah, so I don't know. I mean, we've got policymakers around the table going, well, we all want a piece of the pie, right? We all want a piece here, there, and everywhere. And I understand it, but you have to look at what the scale is also doing to producers. And it trickles downhill really, really fast. And then who pays for it? I mean, this could replace a lot of oil and gas revenue that is not in the province anymore. But this is the wrong way of doing it. And I think it needs to be scaled, and it needs to be a percentage. It needs to be looked at for every municipality. Certainly there are municipalities where, these huge facilities are using municipal water, municipal sewer, municipal roads. And so I think there should be some fees of user, so to speak. But, I mean, my county, I live on a gravel road. I haul my water from a different municipality because we don't have water on the farm. And I don't have municipal sewer. We have holding tanks for wastewater for the grow and for washrooms, and we pump them, and we have to look after all of those things. And I still end up paying the provincial standard for the commercial use of this building.
So I'm a founding member of the Kootenay Economic Development Council. It's a group of 20 or so ancillary service providers like ourselves at CertiCraft, license holders in the cannabis space, and local government officials, both in cities and in regional districts. And the whole purpose is to work together to create a viable financial reality for small farmers. And, we had a meeting last week, and what we kind of the conclusion we came to is that the most effective thing that we can do as a council is to really start educating all of the various entities involved in the cannabis industry, including government, including banks, insurance companies, so on and so forth, that all have the same attitude of, ooh, there's so much money in cannabis, we're going to take some from that. there's a lot of stigma that's kind of led to this reality, and there's a lot of misinformation that's led to this reality where, you know, the provincial government's like, hey, we're going to take $26,000 a year from you. The CRA is like, hey, with our excise program, we're going to take $50,000 a year from you, and we're going to require this like $20,000 bond. And that story is repeated so many times. And each of these people, they don't realize that they're not doing this in isolation. There's literally like 15 or 20 other services and required government programs, or whatever you want to call it, tax programs, that are all taking a huge chunk of money, and it makes it so that it's impossible. And even if it's, there's two things that are foundationally wrong with it. One is that like, oh, this is a bad thing, we got to like protect ourselves against this, the dangers of cannabis. We need to do this $3,000 per product due diligence because it's dangerous and there's criminals involved. So there's that stigma side. And then there's this like completely incorrect idea that everybody's flush with cash in this industry. And so in our council, we've kind of made a commitment to collecting information on all those different types of fees that people are struggling with and dealing with. So we're going to have a survey going out pretty soon that I'll circulate far and wide to just hear from licensed micros on what they're actually dealing with, so that we can put together a sheet that just really shows how much is being taken from individuals, so that we can then hit up every single person on that list to just show them and educate them of, you might think that $26,000 isn't a big deal. And you know what? It wouldn't be if it was the only thing, but it's one of 30 things. So let's do something about that, because this is what you're doing right now, is you're driving this industry into the ground and making it so that people who are here now are struggling, and people who aren't here, who were excited to transition, are now saying, you know what? I'm not going to, because this looks too hard.
That transitioned in too, right? I mean, not a lot of people were aware of the scope of work, right? The paperwork, the record keeping. This is where you guys came in and made the job easier. But, you know, I mean, you can see my wall of SOPs behind me. Health Canada came and did their first inspection in November, and they were thrilled. They were thrilled with the site, which is fabulous, right? I mean, that was we've held our breath for a year and a half and waited for the inspection. And of course, everybody's terrified of inspectors, both on Health Canada and on CRA side. And I mean, I look at things where, okay, hey, if I'm doing something wrong, please let me know so that I can change it. And everything was very, very good. But not all people signed up for being able to grow and all of the other paperwork and regulation and compliance side that goes along with it. And I think there is a need for it. I mean, we all signed up for a Health Canada regulated industry. We all want safe product for consumption for our consumers, whether they're recreational or medical. But it's a lot. It's a real lot. And it takes a team, and it takes a lot of follow through and a follow up. And the platforms that you and your team build, they're very, very intricate. I mean, and I input my stuff and I screw it up more times than not. And thank God you guys can fix it for me. And I was working with a different record keeping company when I first started, and I input the wrong information and moved a decimal place in the wrong spot. And I emailed them, because of course you can't pick up the phone and talk to any human being, which is, again, another frustration in the industry. And I just needed them to fix it. And they were like, sorry, we're a record keeping, not a record deleting. And I'm like, this isn't a deletion. What happened was not accurate, and I need to fix it. So help me fix it. And they were like, well, I'm sorry, we can't do that. So,
they really told you that?
Yes. And I was like, what? Yeah. So that led me to you guys, because I was like, no, I'm sorry, I'm not going to pay for somebody to tell me that they will not help me. It was insanity. I was in tears times, because I'm like, we're all human and we all make mistakes. And Health Canada and CRA are okay with mistakes. We just have to fix them. Yeah. We have to show the paper trail, right? I mean, I have no problem saying, yeah, no, I input 10 kilos, but it was only 1 kilo. I need to fix this. But yeah, I mean, it's craziness.
And as as of 2 months ago or so, now you can fix your own mistakes. You don't need
I
us to
know,
step in anymore, which is
I know,
great
I
for you.
saw
You get
that.
that done faster, and great for us because we have way less customer support requests now.
It is. But it's one of those things for me where I'm like, okay, I know I have to fix this, and I appreciate the fact that I don't have to bother you guys to do it. But then I always second guess myself and go, okay, I got to think about this for a few minutes because I don't want to screw this up twice.
Well,
Have
the
to
beauty
fix
the
it.
beauty is you can edit the same record multiple times, and we have a trail that shows you all the edits you've made, the reason why you did it. So
No, this is, I will say yours is the most user-friendly system that I have used, and I've used two, and I've, you know, done demos on multiple others. And so I very much appreciate the fact that you guys have made it simple. I like the fact that you started with the like with the micro cultivation, right? We don't have to have as many regulations. Well, regulations are regulations, but we don't have to be as intricate as the standard producers. And so I like the fact that this platform has been built for micros. I'm sure that lots of standards could use it without any issue, but I like the user friendly ability to this platform. So
thanks,
again, I
Serena.
congratulate all of you and your team and all of your hard work, because you've made my life much easier.
Oh, thank you so much. It's lovely to hear. Yeah, that's it's been a journey for sure. No, I remember when you called us, you were in tears in that first conversation. You were really fed up with, I'm not going to say who they are because that's for you to share, not me, but that's we were happy to step in and glad that you've loved it since. Curtis, I
Well,
see you've asked a question. Just go ask in the questions tab. We'll go through the questions in there.
it's
Sorry, what
funny.
were you going to say, Serena?
I went through a CRA audit and they needed some of my records from the previous record keeping company. So I emailed them and said, you know, can I just have access? And they were going to charge me $3,000 for 15 minutes worth of access so I could download those reports.
Wow.
So I picked up the phone and called my CRA agent back and said, yeah, I'm sorry, but this is not going to happen. I'm not paying this $3,000 to have 15 minutes of access.
Yeah.
So we're going to have to work with what I've got printed off and what I've got in my record keeping, because this is not okay. So they were very, very good about it. And you know, we're also all learning as well, right? I mean,
Yeah.
nobody went into this industry knowing exactly what we all will be doing and how we're going to report it and the variations on all of those things.
Yeah, the CRA I've really liked. Like we've had a lot of issues with inspectors who are just brand new, and they don't understand the industry. They have some really questionable assumptions sometimes, and you know they have this script that they follow when they do an inspection, and anything that deviates from that, like it's just like, no, this is a problem, because they don't realize that there's nuance to it, and their supervisors, if they were to talk to them, they'd be like, oh no, that's fine, that's not a big deal. So we've actually so I've gotten to know a few managers at the CRA, and that we've been doing trainings for CRA inspectors. We did a training with about 40 different inspectors across the Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta, BC, and northern on the west side regions, and it was really well received. We had like a 2-hour session where I just like gave them a demo of CertiCraft and just kind of explained what the realities are for our customers, what they're going through, how we generate the reports, how it all ties together. And it was super eye-opening for a lot of them. They had no idea. And because I also talked about it through the lens of a micro cultivator of, you know, some people harvest for freezing, some people do a wet trim or a dry trim, and we kind of go through different options and kind of show how that changes the B300 report that we generate, and kind of so that was really helpful. And actually I've forgotten, I need to get back in touch because they want to schedule one for the East Coast as well, to get Ontario and Quebec and the Maritimes also doing this thing, because yeah, we've just had a lot of issues because we do things in a very particular way with permission of the CRA. We had questions around how the B300 is done, and just reached out to the HQ. We're like, hey, we don't know how to track this. Is this okay? And they're like, yeah, do that. As long as you're consistent, it's okay. And then as it turns out, the HQ doesn't talk to the inspection division. So we're doing what the CRA told us to do, but the inspectors think it's wrong, even though their bosses told us to do it that way. So it's just been a lot of like, are you for real? Like, why do you guys not talk to each other? Like, this is...
Well, I know some of the things that they come up with. Like I just was doing my renewal, and I said to my agent, I'm like, okay, I have a question. She told me that anytime I change my third party testing SOP, so my lab SOP and my destruction SOP, I have to send it to CRA for approval before I can implement it.
Wow.
Okay, well, we're now on revision number 5 of at least both of them. And I just said to her, I said, okay, so with all due respect, and I'm very, and I do honestly just need this question answered, but why? Because this affects my operations. And if I have to change something, like these are living documents, they change all the time. We have to update these things. So why for my waste, my destruction SOP? What difference does it make to you how I destroy my waste? Because I'm not burning money. You know, I mean, it's not where I'm getting rid of crap material. Like it stems, it leaves, it's, you know, I mean, this is not stuff that I should, why are we so worried about it? And then yeah, with the third party SOP or the third party testing, and I'm like, okay, well, I'll send you the updated ones, but they are revision 5 and I'll do my best. But why, right? I don't have to send these updates to Health Canada. So I
just think it's somebody who doesn't understand that they don't set the regulations. And that, like, I've met a few CRA agents in the past that like are kind of going on a weird power trip where they really want to dictate things for their clients, and it's not just I'm just gonna see your material and ensure that it matches the B3. That's their job. It's like, you submitted these B300s. I'm gonna pick like 10 different cells here, and you're gonna prove to me through documentation that you actually like did that. So to anybody listening to this, if a CRA agent tells you something that you're immediately like what? Just because they say something doesn't mean it's real. If you disagree with it, it's okay to disagree with it. If you know they are wrong, it's okay to tell them they are wrong. And if they push back on you because they just aren't willing to listen to you and you know they're wrong, ask them to speak to their supervisor. The CRA has a policy where anytime somebody requests that, they have to let you through to their supervisor. And the supervisors are generally people who've been involved for many years. They're a lot more familiar with the space, and they will immediately tell the agent in question, like, no, this is an overreach. You can't actually do that. So that's a thing they have in place there, and it doesn't need to be like a, oh yeah, well, give me your supervisor. It can just be like, okay, I think you're wrong. Can you bring your supervisor on this call so that we can all talk together? It can be, something like that, or.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I'm one where, I mean, I am very respectful. My husband was an MLA. He was a past county councillor. I was a county councillor. Being in a government role is not easy, right? And working for the government is really not easy. And, I mean, I don't want to be afraid of CRA agents, and I don't want to be afraid of Health Canada agents, but at the same time, I also know what my legal rights are. And I mean, we have to know, right, to be able to operate this business effectively. And yeah, there is going to be times where I've just said, yeah, I don't think that that's really true. And so is there a way that you can verify that? Can you send me a link? The other frustrating thing with CRA is that you can't email them anything. It's crazy. Like, they won't accept an email. So they either accept paper copy or you have to upload it into the portal, and then the clerk prints it off and gets it to them. And it's a bit of a runaround. Nothing happens quickly. And I mean, nothing happens quickly in this industry at all, but it's a timely experience. And so, I mean, I guess that it does, I don't want to say buy you some time to also check up on what is actually true on my end, right? And so, but yeah, I've talked to many, well, 2 anyways, that have done no training on the cannabis sector, but they're doing an audit on my books. And I'm like, I don't know, like, what is it that you would like me to fix? Well, I don't really know yet. And I'm like, okay. We'll go to training and we'll maybe see if we can come back to the table and talk about the same thing again. And I never hear from them again. And I'm like, okay, I guess that was in the water.
Serena, before we turn to questions here, are there any last important things you want to bring up that you think is really important to share here while you have this platform?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, I'm just looking forward to all the exciting things coming in 2022. Opening the store. My husband and I are also opening Mary Jane Manor, which is going to be a cannabis-friendly hotel. And we're going to be having terpene-themed rooms, and it's going to be run very much like a retreat center with all kinds of options for education and experience. And yeah, we're going to bring cannabis full circle, fully integrate it from growing to finishing it out.
Great. I feel like you're gonna have a bunch of questions from the audience about that. I see a lot of people typing right now. Matt Sparrow would like to book 10 rooms ASAP. Oh my God, that's amazing.
We're opening for 420 weekend. So April 22 is going to be our grand opening, and then yeah, we'll have booking agents ready, and it'll be, hey, we're up for it.
All right, let's take a look at the questions here. We have 4 questions. I'm just going to organize them by upvotes. All right. Curtis Campbell asks, how will your business react to the opening up for online retail sales?
Oh, that is a good question. And that's a question
maybe before you answer that question, could you tell us what this refers to, the opening up of online retail sales? I'm assuming that's an Alberta thing.
It is. So AGLC used to have its own online store, which my understanding, because I'm not in this space quite yet, so forgive me if it's not completely true, but what they used to do is they used to sell it for a lot less than what a lot of the retail stores were selling their products. So everything that went to the AGLC warehouse could be purchased off of the AGLC online store. AGLC did not want to run that platform anymore. And so as of March 2nd, I believe, we are allowed, or retail stores are allowed to have an online store. So you can go to, because you can cannabis, and choose the products that you want. You can have them for pickup, but they will also allow delivery, which is interesting in itself.
Can you mail cannabis at all, or is it just delivery and pickup?
I don't know that part. Again,
well, you know, like Nathan French, who's involved in a cannabis store here in the Kootenays, he asks a very comparable question: thoughts on being able to mail everyone weed in Alberta soon? So I would maybe guess that you can.
Yeah. So again, right? Like that's a huge concept. I mean, now we've gone from not being able to move product really to being able to legally deliver. So you can have a delivery vehicle, a delivery driver that could be driving around with more than 30 grams of product, I'm assuming, and delivering it to multiple addresses and sending it out and all of those things. I'm quite excited about it. For me, I look at it's just another way to ensure vertical integration for moving my product that's in my facility. Yes, it's a roundabout way. It's kind of ridiculous to sell it to AGLC, buy it all back to sell it, but hey, we'll play the game.
Cool. Okay. Nathan, I'll use that as an answer to your question too, because it was more or less the same thing. Okay, next question. This is also from Curtis. Oh, Curtis, you're asking all the questions here. And the one other person, they didn't get their question asked, because Curtis more or less asked a comparable thing. Any insight on the government's cannabis regulations regarding flowering cannabis? Any truth to having 200 meters squared just for flowering? Thanks for the talk.
Oh, so if I'm understanding this correctly, the question is, are we allowed 200 square meters of flowering only? And no, it's
I would guess, the way I interpret, I mean, it is worded incorrectly, so or not incorrectly, but just ambiguously. Maybe you can help clarify in the chat, Curtis, what you mean. My interpretation was that, is it enough to just have 200 meters squared for flowering in a micro? Because I know in like BC, there's a lot of people who are like, 200 meters squared, they want to basically double that to have more viable business models with the scale that they can reach with 400 meters squared. That's kind of where my mind goes, but I don't.
Yeah, and that 200 meters squared it's all of your canopy. It's moms, it's clones, it's veg plants, it's flowering, it's max canopy. So you have to get everything in that 200 meters squared. It'd be fabulous to be able to up that.
Wait,
Um,
sorry. Curtis says there's new regulations coming. Are you saying that Health Canada's announced that they're gonna make it so the 200 meters squared is just for flowering and you can have additional stuff outside of that? Like, what are you talking about? Because this is news to me.
me or Curtis? Because I have no idea.
To me, yeah, to me and you. Neither of us have heard of this new regulations
No,
coming in.
no.
Okay, maybe we'll ignore that for now. If anybody in the chat, I'll circle back to it after the next question. Because I feel like there's a lot of license holders here, and if nobody has heard of this, because so far 2 have chimed in saying they haven't, then I'm guessing that it's probably incorrect information there. But I'll see what you say, Curtis. Next, let's go to your last question, though, here, which is how much time does CertiCraft save you per day or week or month? Ooh, I'm curious about that. What would you say, Serena?
That is a good question. I would say that it saves me probably a few hours every day. I mean, we've done a blended of paper and digital, and so there's certain things that we record on paper because I'm a paper girl, and there are certain things that we record in CertiCraft. And so, I mean, I enjoy being able to have the option of integrating both. And then when my batch is finished in the harvest and curing and is going out the door, I pull all of those records together. And so CertiCraft has got everything right from the time we've cut clones, food, all of those things, defulls, flipping to flower, all of those things are tracked in CertiCraft. And then I add all my paper forms to my batch records, and it makes a really nice, pretty stack of about 2 inches of paperwork. So yeah, and I don't know, it's hard to gauge it because if we don't do a lot of plant work that day, there's not a lot that gets put into CertiCraft. So you guys save me a lot of frustration when I am using the platform, and it does make it streamlined, that's for sure.
Yeah. Cool. Well, that's all the questions that we have here. Let's go back in the chat and see what's happening there. Oh, so Curtis, you say it's from the coming reviews of the Cannabis Act. Yeah, that's going to be like a 1.5-year review from when it started. So I think there's like a year left right now. So it'll be some time until any changes actually get enacted. If Health Canada did announce changes to make things more accessible, that's news to me. If you could share a link, that would be super appreciated. But I have a feeling that it's just not something that is finalized yet because they're still in the middle of the review process. And for everybody listening here, one thing we really need to do as an industry, as a craft cannabis industry, is to get Health Canada to actually expand the scope of their review, because their review is super limited and it doesn't actually review any of the things that are like problematic. I don't know, Nick attended like a Health Canada talk when they first launched the review, and the way he put it was that there was some political person high up within Health Canada who basically spent the whole hour just patting themselves on their back on what a great job they've done, and that was the talk. So that seems to be like the attitude from the top down of Health Canada of like, yeah, we've done a great job, completely ignoring the fact that like some companies are going out of business because of their policies. Most people aren't transitioning because of their policies. It's just like really, really, really hard, and there's a lot of like serious missteps that needs to change to make things more viable. So talk to your MPs, talk to your officials, reach out to representatives that can reach Health Canada, and tell them about how limited this review is and how it doesn't actually give them the scope to address anything that's actually important. So that's going to be a big mission, I think, for everybody over the coming little while here.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for being here today. Next time on episode 23, we have Av Singh of Gaia Green fame and a bunch of other things. He is a lovely human being and excited to get a sense of what his take is on the legal industry. Serena, thank you so much for being here today. It's been a real pleasure to chat with you and to get some nice shout outs and recommendations weren't expecting. I think it's the first time we've had people share a bit about their experience with CertiCraft on this show.
So I'll do a shout out to CertiCraft, and Because You Can uses it and is very proud to. And every time I see any kind of post on Facebook, I'm sure to chime in, because it is one of the most user-friendly platforms, and you guys are amazing. and I am very thankful for you. And keep up the good work, because I said to both of them before we jumped on this live, I was like, so did you guys get any time off? And Sammy's like, yeah, we actually got 2 weeks. And I was like, what? And he's like, just kidding. So yeah, we all work so damn hard, and you guys are working 24/7, I'm sure, because the computers don't shut off. We've gone home. Thank you for doing these kinds of programs too, right? I think it all helps. I think we just need to start pushing the education, and let's talk. Let's figure out what the cultivators are actually dealing with, because it's one thing for a consumer to walk into a store and say, yeah, I'll buy some weed. How long did it take to grow that weed, and what kinds of stumbling blocks have that cultivator run into to get that product to the store, and how much has it actually cost the cultivator to get that product in the store? Those are the things that I hope start coming out. And I don't know. I think, the other side is touring people through facilities, and I am an open book. You guys ever in Alberta, anybody ever want to come and tour the facility? People are always blown away when they can see what goes into growing this product, right? We're such a closed door society, and it's time to open things up. And yeah, I mean, I'm very, very proud of what I have going on. I'm certainly not perfect by any stretch, but I am an open book, and I will tell you all the things that we've struggled with and all the things that we're very proud of. And this is a family run business, and I'm looking forward to I'm going to say this to Julia. She's actually listening. I'm looking forward to when her and her husband take it over, and I can take a step back and just come in and help the odd time instead of being here all the time. But it is, right? It's a labor of love, and we put everything into the product that you're going to see hit the market in Alberta in April. And yeah, you guys pick some stuff up and want to come see where it's grown, pick up the phone, email me, reach out on social media. We'll make it happen.
So Serena, if somebody did want to take you up on that offer, just find Because You Can with 2 N's there on social media. Is that how would they best reach you? What's your preference?
Yeah, any platform, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. And somebody's always watching.
Do you guys have a website as well? BecauseYouCan.com?
We do. It's in the works right now. So yeah, we'll be working on that over the next little bit. And then but anytime anybody wants to come through.
Well, there you have it, guys. Search for Because You Can, 3 words, 2 N's in the can, and you guys can reach out to take Serena up on that offer. And for those of you here who are listening to this right now, we have a YouTube channel where we put this up every Monday or Tuesday or so after the on-air podcast. So if any, James, you're saying you learned a lot today, and there's a lot more learning to be done in this series. So go to the CertiCraft YouTube channel, and you can find all of our previous episodes where there's a lot. We also have content.certicraft.com, where we put all our content, including these webinars and blog posts. And if you click on the webinars link there, you'll get this kind of nice format where you have like a little preview, little text explaining what each conversation was about, as well as the upcoming ones. So that might be a nice format to be able to very quickly kind of scroll through. So yeah, go to content.certicraft.com and then click on the link that says webinars. We should probably change it to like videos, because this is kind of shifted in format from when we first created the site. But cool. Thanks for being here, everybody. Let's try that again. Thanks for being here, everybody. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit the like and subscribe button. And Serena, thanks again. And I hope you all have a absolutely fantastic day.
Yes, you too.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Bye.